Recording in progress.
Welcome back to the Heal and Restore podcast. Me, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And the same guy here every week with you.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the most beautiful. And
Thank you, honey.
we're here. We are dedicated to helping couples and individuals strengthen their relationships through healing, growth, and honest conversation.
Yeah.
That's the most important part. That's what we're going to kind of talk about that today, aren't we?
Yeah, sure.
We dive into topics like communication, forgiveness, intimacy, family, and emotional connection, because healthy love starts with a healed heart.
Amen.
Tune in each week and take the next step toward restoring what matters most. Intimacy that we talk about, right, is not the physical intimacy. Right. It's the emotional intimacy, which is the precursor to have a fabulous physical, intimate
and some
relationship.
Of that is going to be part of this conversation today as well.
Right. So today we're talking about something every couple experiences. The conversations couples avoid and why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so these are not the fun conversations. Nope. They're not the easy ones about our weekend plans and what we're going to do for dinner and things of that nature. Right. But these are actually the hard ones. Yep. The ones that we might call uncomfortable conversations, and the conversations that sit in a room unspoken but felt. I'm sure some people have felt that before, where it's just unspoken and heavy.
Yeah.
Because what we avoid talking about, it doesn't go away. It just goes underground. And eventually it shows up as distance, resentment, shutdown, or conflict.
Yep. Every time it does.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
Let's start with the why.
Okay.
That's very important.
Good place to start.
Good place to start. Most couples don't avoid conversation because they don't care. In fact, most couples do care. They just don't know how to.
Yeah.
Right? They avoid them because they care and they're afraid of what might happen if they speak up. Right? Here are some of the biggest reasons couples avoid hard conversations: fear of conflict, fear of rejection, fear of hurting the other person, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being told they're wrong, right? Fear of things getting worse instead of better.
Yeah.
For many of us, this fear didn't start in adulthood. It started in childhood, where speaking up felt unsafe, pointless, or dangerous.
Yeah, that's really good.
Dangerous, right? So we simply learn to stay quiet. Right? For many of us, the fear that didn't start in adulthood, so we learned to stay quiet. Sorry.
I lost track,
right? To keep the peace, to survive instead of connect. We learned to stay quiet, to keep the peace, and most importantly, to survive instead of connect. Yeah. So this is a really important point. As a matter of fact, I want you to think about what I'm going to say throughout the rest of this podcast. I think you might want to fall back to this. So why do we avoid all those reasons that I gave you just a minute ago for avoiding a conversation? Many of us, most of our clients, right, has been, she won't let me say 100%, so I'll say 95%, but it's really 100%.
It's so funny. Nobody heard that, right?
No, nobody heard that, right?
What? What'd you say?
We've lost our voices in our childhood, and I don't mean physically, right? We've tried to speak up about how we feel, right? We've tried to work with people with different ideas. And in those moments, a lot of us, not all, but most, were shut down. Who do you think you are?
Right.
That's a stupid idea. Hey, what are you doing? Who do you think you are? That, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And a lot of times, especially when we talked about feelings, this is the worst one, right? It led to some pretty severe consequences. In my case, it did lead to some pretty severe beatings, right? Yeah. So that's where we learn to shut down.
Just be quiet.
Just be quiet, because nobody cares anyway.
No, and you're quiet to keep the peace, because if you said anything, it would all rile things up. Right. So that's that survival mindset. Yeah.
And then real quick, too, here's a classic example. You and your spouse are having a conversation. And you know, I've got my mindset that this is how it's going to be. This is what I want. This is where I'm at. I'm speaking to Cathy about it, and I don't feel that she's hearing me. She's hearing me perfect, right? But I'm not getting the answers that I want.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so,
which has happened.
This is our past. You know, this happened a lot in the past. Then what happens is, if you can't hear me at this level, then I'm going to jack my voice up to the next decibel.
Right. That's the opposite of staying quiet, because now you want to be heard.
Now I want to be heard, and I'm an adult, and you're going to hear me whether you like it or not. And then it escalates even higher, and then even higher.
That's
so
good.
What is that doing to our partner or spouse?
What's it doing to your own body?
But instead of connecting with our partner at that point, we're pushing him way away.
Yeah, that's good.
They fear us as husbands because we're men, and they start to cower, and they just kind of go away, right?
Yep.
So you got to think about all this stuff. I heard something today. Are you willing to lose the person you were to become the person you want to be?
And that's what you've got to look at.
And that's what you got to look at, right?
Good.
Because change is hard.
Yeah.
But this is critical when it comes to conversation, right?
So let's talk about that. What are some of those the most common conversations that couples do avoid? You know, because there are some big ones out there. And so the first one is emotional needs. And what is emotional needs? What might that sound like? It could be something like, I feel lonely.
Yep.
Maybe I need more affection.
Yeah.
Or I don't feel seen.
Right.
These are hard to say because they make us vulnerable, and vulnerability feels risky. And so that's one thing that we realize, is that in order for our voice to be heard and to have these hard conversations, we have to be willing to take the risk to be vulnerable. The second one might be resentment. I know I can relate to this. Small hurts that never get addressed, and they turn into these emotional distances. You know, we get further and further apart, and we might say, it's fine, but it's not fine because it's just buried. And I can relate to that. I buried a lot of things.
I think we all do.
Yeah, I think it's very common. The third one is your sex and intimacy. You know, there's desires, disappointments, there's fears, there's shame. You know, many couples would rather just stay silent than to feel exposed. Exposure is vulnerability again, you know. And then the fourth one, this is a hard one for a lot of us, money. Spending, saving, debt, control, you know, fear of the future. And I love this. Money isn't just financial. It's emotional.
Yeah.
If it was just financial, why would we have such a hard time talking about money? Because it is emotional. And then the fifth one is boundaries. We talk about this quite often. And, you know, with family, it could be work, friends, or even each other.
Right.
You know, boundaries can feel like rejection if we don't understand the whole purpose behind the boundary.
Yep.
So we have to understand the purpose behind the boundary. Otherwise, it's just going to feel like, oh, he doesn't want me, or she's rejecting me again. And then the sixth one is unmet expectations. You know, we might have this thought of, oh, I thought marriage would look different, or I thought you would change, or I thought he would change, or I thought she would change. And so expectations that are left unspoken, they truly will. There's a guarantee of this, a guarantee that they'll turn into disappointment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have realized this not only in our own marriage, but working with other couples. It's very common to have these unspoken expectations.
I mean, think about it. We start dating somebody. First, we really like them. We're having fun. We find a connection, find a commonality within us. Then slowly we start falling in love, or maybe quickly, you know, like in our case, right? But, you know, and so we got rainbows and unicorns and bubbles blowing everywhere. And hey, let's get married. Yeah, okay. And along the way, we might see a red flag or two, right? It's very possible. But it's like, either the person will change, or this will go away, or I can help them change along the way, right? Yeah. But what do we not do before we get married? And this is crucial. We do not sit down and talk about our expectations and needs moving forward in a marriage. In
a marriage with each other.
With each other.
As a married couple. Together. Yeah, it's so true. Nobody ever told us that.
Right. So it's our personal expectations for myself in this marriage. And for you, my expectations for you in this marriage personally, and then our expectations together as a marriage. What are they?
Me, you, and us.
Exactly. Yeah. Right? Man, it's something that I don't think anybody does.
And I think that's what creates a lot of the struggles in our relationships. And it all goes back to having these hard conversations.
Yeah, I mean, it happened with us.
Yeah, that's what I say. A lot of couples, it's not something that's on the first thought of your mind, but it's something that we have really realized how the value and the importance of having those unspoken expectations be spoken. And so we've implemented that too as part of our, not just our coaching, but our premarital counseling as well.
Exactly.
We've got to have that.
Yeah.
So
and you know, when I married Cathy, she's a wonderful woman. She's beautiful, everything I wanted. And somewhere along the line, I thought I wanted to make her a little different.
Yeah.
And that mostly kicked in when my addictions kicked in pretty hard. So, you know, in those unspoken expectations, we don't have, this the famous one, we don't have a crystal ball.
Right.
To understand where you're coming from, where each other's coming from.
And then we get into assumptions.
And we get into assumptions.
That's a whole nother story
there. Well, I thought you were mad. Well, I'm mad at you.
Yeah.
You know, well, you didn't say nothing. I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
Right? So you see where this can go.
Yeah.
Right? So we got to be very careful.
That's
so
good.
Avoiding conversations can come at a cost.
Yeah.
So what does avoidance cost a marriage? Okay. One, avoidance may feel safer in the moment. And absolutely, right? But over time, it costs you emotional intimacy, slowly, right? It costs you trust. It costs you connection, safety, honesty. Silence does not protect love. Yeah. Does not. Silence slowly suffocates it. Right?
Wow.
All right. So when couples stop talking about what matters, they start living parallel lives under the same roof.
Kind of like a roommate.
Yeah, you know, and it's like the hard thing when it comes to being married or a long-term intimate relationship with a partner is that, you know, what was each other's childhood like? Right? I mean, that's going to play into eventually down the road, not all, but most, how that relationship's going to evolve over time.
Right. And those are the conversations that should be had.
Yeah.
You know, those are the ones that you don't want to avoid because that's where it's going to cost you some of these things.
Exactly.
So good, bad, or indifferent, your past is your past. It's what shaped you and formed you and created you to be who you are today. Doesn't mean you have to stay that way if it's not the best for you.
No.
But it's important to have a conversation about it.
I know, it's one of the things we will ask our clients. Well, whoever taught you, who was your mentor? Who was your example of how you're supposed to properly communicate?
Right?
What
was what was shown to you?
What was shown to you? What was shown? And every one of us say nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
None of us had perfect examples.
No.
I mean, some were better than others. Some were really bad. But if we look at it and if we're honest with ourselves, there's areas of our life that we grew up with that no longer serve us. They might have served us in survival mode, but not anymore. So it's really necessary to have these conversations so that we can avoid all of these things that will affect our marriage. It'll cost our marriage in the long run.
Exactly, right. And this word takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about what's really under the avoidance. Here's the truth. If we don't avoid conversations, we avoid our feelings. So avoiding conversations is avoiding feelings. And so what are we avoiding if we're avoiding that? What are those feelings that we're avoiding? We might be feeling weak, so we're going to avoid so we don't feel weak. We avoid feeling needy. We avoid feeling rejected, very common. We avoid feeling we avoid feeling like we're just too much.
Or the other side of that.
Not enough.
Not enough.
Yeah, we're feeling like we're not enough. And then many of us learned early on that if I need something, I'll be a burden. Or if I need something, and if I speak up, I might be punished. And if I tell the truth, I might be abandoned. So what happens is we trade our honesty for safety, and that happens in childhood. But then it carries over into our adulthood.
Absolutely.
But the real safety is built on truth, not silence. And I'm going to say that again because I need to hear that for myself. The real safety is built on truth, not silence. And so we have to learn that as young children, growing up in the homes that we grow up in, a lot of these things, we might have felt them, but they're not going to benefit a relationship by any means.
No.
They protected you. They were your safety and things
Yeah.
as a child, but as an adult, they're going to deteriorate you as a person. They're going to deteriorate any relationship you're in. And that is not just in love relationships. This could even be with your children as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Because remember, you are your child's greatest example. You are the one that is teaching them, not by just words, but by your actions and how you speak and how you show up in these relationships. So it's really, really important to kind of take time to self-reflect back on your childhood and see if any of these things stood out to you. And what can you do to change them today as an adult so that you set a better, healthier example for your own children? Yeah.
So all this has got to take a huge willingness to want to change too, because it's just who I am, and you don't like it, it's too bad.
But it doesn't have to be that way.
It's a choice. Everything's a choice. I said this at conferences before, and I'll continue to say it for the rest of my life to as many people as I have to. And to the men and to the women, but mainly to the men. Only a weak person, understand me, a weak person hides their weaknesses. It takes a truly strong and courageous person, man or woman, to talk about their feelings.
Yep, the vulnerability that's required.
Vulnerability and risk and transparency is huge.
Yeah, that's so good.
So now that we have an understanding of why we avoid, let's discover how to start the conversations you've been avoiding.
Yeah. Okay, well, this is going to be good.
I hope so. I mean, it's been tough on us, but we did it.
Yeah,
so here's where healing begins. Not with perfection. Throw that out the window.
Yeah.
Check your pride and your ego at the door, right?
Yeah.
But with a tremendous amount of courage.
Yeah.
That's where it starts,
yeah,
right?
That's great.
Choose connection over control, right? Don't start with blame. That's the worst thing you can do, right? Start with ownership. I want to feel closer to you instead of, you make me feel distant from you. See the difference? Hey, Kath, I really want to feel closer to you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm afraid to talk about this, but I care about us.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Right.
Taking ownership to that and being responsible for what your feelings.
Yeah, this isn't a magic fix.
But it's a start.
It's going to be a start. You're going to have to keep on repeating it over and over. You can't give up with the first one, right?
Yeah.
Use I language. This is important. Not you never listen. I feel unheard, and I want to feel closer to you.
That's so much softer.
Isn't it?
So much more appealing.
Just
so much more attractive. So much more wanting to draw closer.
Pick the right time.
Yeah.
Not in the heat of conflict. Not when you're exhausted. Not when your spouse first walks in the door, right after a long day at work. Choose a moment when you can both be present.
Yeah,
right?
That's good.
Stay curious, not defensive. Listen to understand. This isn't a win-win situation. We're not in a battle here.
It's not a competition.
It's not a competition. So you listen to understand, not to win.
Yeah.
Get support when needed. Some conversations are just way too heavy to carry alone. That's not failure. That's wisdom.
That's great. Right? Yeah.
And on that note, not failure, wisdom, because sometimes those hard conversations we think we have to have in this certain matter comes out sideways and goes the other way. So that's why it's important to have like a coach or a mentor.
You can bounce it off of
that
first.
You can bounce off. That's got more wisdom to give you. Hey, wait a minute. You're feeling the way you're feeling. Understand it. You want to have this conversation. Let's look at it different ways. Right. Because the way you're thinking about it might not lead to good.
And the way you're thinking about it typically is an old pattern that you've got so accustomed to. And remember, we're having courage here to switch our way of communicating. So that's good.
And part of the listening process also is we want to listen with curiosity. We got to be curious in our listening so that we can to understand what our partner or spouse is really trying to relate to us.
Listen to understand.
Listen to understand. A lot of us the conversation will start and we'll hear one or two sentences and all of a sudden, wah, 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 because our head's going, well, this is how we can fix it. No. So if we're listening with curiosity, then the result is when the partner's done speaking, we can ask curious questions for clarification.
Right. Or we might even have the clarification if we're just listening.
Yeah.
Who figured?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
So that's great.
So look, this isn't a one and done thing. This takes time and a lot of effort and a lot of work.
It's like we tell our clients, how many years have you been communicating in a certain way, or you have a learned behavior? If you're 40 years old, for example, I bet you've probably been doing it for 35 years or so, as soon as you started, forming sentences. Right. So it's going to take some time to unwind that. So let's pause for a moment.
Okay.
Everybody take a deep breath. Thank you.
Okay.
So let's ask ourselves, what conversation have I been avoiding? What am I afraid would happen if I spoke up? What is the silence costing me in my relationship? And now here's a bigger question. What might be possible if I choose courage over comfort?
Repeat those questions, right, slowly. And if you're listening, here's what my suggestion to you. Write down the questions the best you can, and then take some time and reflect on these questions and write down your answers.
This is your action steps here.
Yeah, we're going to call these your action steps, right? This is serious. And then if you find going through this, you need more clarification, you can reach out to us at Heal and Restore Counseling. healandrestorecounseling.com.
Yeah. So here's your 3 questions. First one is, what conversation have I been avoiding? What conversation have I been avoiding?
And you even add why to that. Why have I?
Second one is, what am I afraid would happen if I spoke up? What am I afraid would happen if I spoke up? And then the last one, what is the silence costing my relationship? What is the silence costing my relationship?
And I'm going to add something to this. So one of my mentees, an older guy that was restructuring companies, said to me one day, when you answer that question the first time, and then we said, and ask why. And when you answer that question, ask yourself why again.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like they say, they do 5 whys, right? Each time you answer the question, and ask yourself why again. Just get down to the root of it, okay?
That's good. So, as we close out these podcasts, we always, encouragement is a big component of healing. And so every healthy marriage is built on brave conversations. They're not perfect ones, they're not polished ones, but they're honest ones. So the goal isn't to say everything perfectly. The goal is to say something truthfully with love, because the conversations that you avoid today became the distance you feel tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
They'll become the distance you feel tomorrow. And the conversation you choose to have becomes the connection that you build for a lifetime. So we really hope that these stood out to you.
Yeah, and be patient with each other through this transition.
Right.
It takes patience and courage, right?
Yeah,
and strength. So
absolutely.
Your partner starts this conversation with you, understand. And it's really wise when you start these conversations, say, this is about me, not about you.
Right. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, that's great.
So as we close this episode, we want to remind you that Heal and Restore Counseling is here to support you throughout the year.
Yep, absolutely.
If you're struggling in your relationship or carrying unresolved hurt from your past, please remember you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In Heal and Restore Counseling, we offer a no-cost 1-hour discovery session where we can share what you're navigating and begin identifying your goals for healing and growth. This session is available for both individuals and couples and is designed to be safe, supportive space to take that first step forward. Don't lose hope. Healing can begin today. Schedule your discovery session at www.healandrestorecounseling.com.
Yeah, we'll get back to you usually within 24 hours.
Within 24 hours.
This has been our saving grace to build relationships, because we start building those relationships before we even dive in to the work. And so it's been very beneficial, not only for us, but for our clients as well.
Yeah, it's a difficult journey, but you can't do it alone.
No, absolutely.
But, we've got clients now that have been with us almost for 2 years, coming up on 2 years, some of them. So,
it's been great.
It's their choice, not ours. So they're doing great too, making a change.
So, we love it.
And remember
we love
this,
what we do.
Right, exactly. And when we talk about these kind of conversations that we had today, there's a saying, we practice the principles in all of our affairs. So not only will this help you in your relationship with your spouse or partner, it will help you in your relationship with your children and with your coworkers and with your employers.
And other family members.
And other family members. It's a whole new way of living.
Yep, absolutely.
It makes a big difference in your life. I promise you that.
That's good.
All right?
Yeah.
So remember this. Nobody tells you they love you today. Randy does.
Cathy does.
But more importantly, God does. Be blessed, everybody. Have a fabulous week.
Have a great week.